Hello everybody. Today we're going to discuss reading comprehension 3. Now when we did reading comprehension 3 concepts, we learned about two types of questions. Those two types of questions were logical structure questions and application based questions. We will be doing some passages based on the same type of questions. If you look at passage 1, it talks about how in the existentialist thought there is a claim that man is free to make choices and we can guide our lives towards our own chosen goal or project. We have a freedom to make choices even in overwhelming circumstances. For example, an armed mugger's victim. Mugger is nothing but a robber. So even an armed robber's victim has choice. Either he hands his wallet, or he negotiates, or he begs, or he runs, or counterattacks, or die. But we are limited at our facticity. But that facticity again does not force us to make choice. So, in anguish or in anger or in disappointment, we must make a choice, and that choice will definitely have a consequence. And Sartre says that one amongst our many choices or many conscious possibilities takes an undeniable precedence is to assume the role of an object, and that role of an object is at the mercy of circumstance. That is its own facticity. This is known as manifestly self-deceiving. So if we call such an attitude is known as manifestly self-deceiving. Then he has also said that there is some contradictory or some paradoxical relationship where we are, conscious and we are free to make decision, and we are not free as well. So that contradictory situation or belief is known as bad faith. Now, Sartre has given two examples: the woman on her first date and the waiter servicing in a cafe. Both are free as radical human beings, and they know that they can be much more than just on a date or just a waiter. But they are limiting their freedom and they are acting as an object in the world, right? And that is why both of these are acting in bad faith, paradoxically, using their freedom and not using their freedom at the same time. They're denying their own freedom but actively using the freedom also. Then Sartre tells us about consciousness running in two levels, which is a pre-reflective and reflective consciousness, in which he gives an example of man running behind a bus. So when the man is running, he is certainly unaware of running after it, but only after stopping when he reflects back and thinks that, oh my god, I was really running there, which means I was running so fast. So hence that is a paradoxical belief, and that is consciousness running at two levels. Now, when I look at question number 1, which one of the following will be inconsistent with the claim of existentialist thought about man's freedom to make choices? Inconsistent with the claim. So, existentialist says that man is free to make choices, which is going to be inconsistent, which means I have no choice. Clearly, it's the first option. I cannot risk my life because I have to support my family. The word cannot is an extreme term, and because of which it says that there is no other choice and he has to do the particular thing because he has to support his family. According to Sartre, which of the following attitude is manifestly self-deceiving? It had clearly been mentioned undeniable precedence over all the other identities, and there is only one option, which is the fourth one, which says assuming one's identity as a father or a son takes an undeniable precedence over all the other identities one may have. So that is known as self-deception. According to Sartre, identifying oneself completely in which of these roles will not be an example of bad faith. Two examples have already been given: a waiter in a restaurant and a young woman on a first date. An adult human being as a man and adult human being as a father. Both are similar and both paradoxically use their freedom and deny their freedom at the same time. Thus, even they act in bad faith in some scenarios. Hence, the answer is none of these. The various ideas in the passage are best summarized in which of these groups? When we say best summary, you can only have one best summary because it's the superlative degree. So third and fourth option will be eliminated because they are the combination of two. Now looking at 1, 2 and 5, the best summary is 1 only, which is bad faith, intention, consciousness and freedom, Sartre's examples and modes of consciousness. Facticity or being in itself as a facticity cannot be considered because facticity is only mentioned as a word and not as a concept. Hence, option 1. According to the ideas discussed in the passage, the example of a person running after a bus will closely resemble which of the following? The answer to this is all of the above. Whenever we look a priest interpreting sacred scriptures, it's like a priest performing a puja. Obviously, there are things which the priest realizes later, and hence, when he reflects back, he realizes that there are certain things he may have missed upon. A lawyer interpreting the constitution is law fighting a case. Again, in similar scenario, he has reflective and pre-reflective consciousness. Hence, option number 2. Now, when we look at passage number 2, it talks about game of strategy and how there are choices that the players have to make among available alternatives. The totality of choices is how the outcome of game will be decided. And generally, their interests of the players are generally in conflict. Whether these interests are diametrically opposite or partially opposed depends on the type of game. So there are two types of conflicts that have been discussed. One is internal conflict and the other is external conflict. They've said that interesting psychology and more internal conflict has interesting psychology and interesting conflict is because not only the player has a conflict within himself, but he has with the other player as well. So hence that is the case of internal conflict. And he has said that it is an important part of serious literature. External conflict, on the other hand, he says is psychological empty. And hence that is how they have described about different types of conflicts. And then they have spoken about how a detective's problem solving is different from that of a scientist. So hence that's what the whole passage is all about. Now, when we talk about the first question, according to the passage, internal conflicts are psychologically more interesting than external conflicts because the answer is the third one. In situations of internal conflicts, individuals experience a dilemma in resolving their own preference for different outcomes. Second question says, which according to the author would qualify as interesting psychology? When I say interesting psychology means internal conflict, which a person has own dilemma as well as of the opponent. The only option which has an opponent or an adversary is option number second. A chess player's predicament over adopting a defensive strategy against an aggressive opponent. So he has a conflict within himself as well as with the opponent. According to the passage, which of the following options of the application of game theory to conflict of situation is true? All of the above except D. You can't say accepting that interests of different players are the same. If they are the same, then there is no conflict of interest situation. The problem-solving process of a scientist is different from that of a detective because scientists study phenomena that are not actively altered. Because it is science, it does not actively get altered. Whereas detectives deal with phenomena that have been deliberately influenced to mislead, right? So hence my answer is third. Passage number third talks about philosophy and science. It talks about Einsteinian physics with respect to the question of time and sound. It talks about Lorentz and Fitzgerald's formulas, and then it talks about how there is no barrier to exceeding the speed of light. It's basically with respect to physics, science, and mathematical notations. And it also talks about Professor Zuckerkandl and his book of Sound and Symbol, and how he has oversimplified mathematics using musical notations, and how there are alternative notations for advanced physics. So we've discussed Einsteinian physics with respect to Lorentz and Fitzgerald and Professor Zuckerkandl. We also discussed about time travel and how physics and science and sound is related. So the sound of Professor Zuckerkandl's book title properly refers to, here it is the musical notation. So answer is option number 3. The passage supports the inference that time travel is clearly possible. Third option. The tone of this passage is speculative but hopeful. Initially, it has raised some speculation on the Einsteinian physics, but later on, it is hopeful. So, speculative but hopeful. The central idea of the passage can be best described as which of the following? Anomalies in theoretical physics notation permit intriguing hypotheses and indicate the need for refined notation of time dimension. When I say anomalies in theoretical physics, now what do we mean by anomalies? Anomalies is basically something that deviates from standard, which is abnormalities. And because of oddities or abnormalities, we need refined notation of time dimension. According to the author, it is too soon to plan for time travel. It is possible, but it is too soon. It can be inferred that author sees Zuckerkandl as believing that mathematics is a great hindrance to the understanding of physics. So, fourth. And that is why, because Zuckerkandl has made sound and symbol, that is why author goes against it. It says it's a great hindrance to the full understanding of physics. In the first, the author refers to philosopher as well as scientist because why he has referred to philosopher as well as scientist in the first sentence? Because nature of time is a basic question in philosophy as well as physics. Hence the fourth one. I hope you're clear with all the three passages. Thank you so much.